This week I'm back with another episode of You Good. I always love doing these. Haven't done one for a while. Had some epic interviews over the last month or two. I really was blown away by the feedback from the last one. Andy McKenzie, that was great. Had Rayan from the Hard-Ons. That was a bit different, but definitely tied into skateboarding roots with their music. Thoroughly enjoyed getting to spend some time with such legends, I'll tell you what. But anyway, this week, the episode today is divided into two very, very contrasting parts. So firstly, I'm going to start by recapping the epic weekend I just had in Airlie Beach, Queensland for the annual Weekend at Timmy's Festival and Skate Jam. Lachie Abbott's actually reached out to me about a month ago and said, hey, we want you to come up and MC the event. And just the thought of being up in the tropics during one of the worst winters that I can imagine in a while. It's just non-stop rain. I was like, yeah, let's do it. And got up there and it's 25 degrees and sunny and I'm in the Whit Sundays. And Timmy and the crew and his family and Lachie just rolled out the red carpet. They took us on a cruise around the Whit Sundays with the Santa Cruz team and the night before. And then, yeah, the actual day was amazing. High level of skateboarding and just fun. Like they set up a limousine with a rail on top, an old limo, and they sort of made it like a skate obstacle with like swamp fest vibes, plywood ramps to it and stuff like that. And then these motocross guys jumping it. So it was pure entertainment. So today I'm gonna get like event organisers Tim Hazelton and Lachie Abbott on the phone just to give us their insights and reflection on what was like the tropical party of the year, I reckon. I'll definitely be back next year. Then I'm going to delve in to the You Good part of it, and I love doing these because despite having interviews with like rad skaters and people in that culture, I feel a sense of purpose with wanting to help people. I think ultimately starting the podcast, I say it all the time, I was just driven by a desire to help and be of service in some way. You may or may not get something out of it, but I guess the topic of forgiveness has been something I've personally battled with for a long time. And so when I am struggling with things, I look at ways I can learn about it and hopefully improve it. So I'm going to break it down and try to understand it, highlight some strategies for practicing it. So yeah, sit back, relax and absorb and hopefully learn. Yeah, let's get the show started. Firstly, the Weekend at Timmy's event. I'm still coming down from it because I had such a good time. And I just wish the weekend wouldn't end, to be honest. But the thing that stood out the most was just the good humans. The community up there was so rad and just all the skaters. And, once again, thank you, skateboarding. Skateboarding and the culture just seems to bring the raddest people into my life. Lachie Abbott is one of them, and he was one of the key organisers. So let's get him on the phone now. Here we go. See what he's got to say about the weekend. It's ringing.
G'day, Shan. How you doing?
Lachie Abbott.
What's going on?
Mate, so good to get you on the phone. How are you feeling after an epic weekend in Airlie Beach?
A bit sun-kissed, but all good.
How good is the weather up there, hey?
Unbelievable, mate, unbelievable. I've just got back into Sydney and it's pouring rain and cold as, so I'm ready to go back.
So depressing, hey? Yeah, like it literally hasn't stopped raining since I've been back and I'm just like, get me back to the Whit Sundays, all right?
Yeah, I feel a bit guilty. Looking at everyone they're all looking a bit soggy and pale, but that's all right.
I know. Like I had a little, when we hung out on the beach in Airlie on the Sunday, I actually got like a little tan. I was like, yes, a tan going. Listen, mate, it's so good to have you on the phone. I just wanted to check in and sort of recap the weekend a little bit and just, get your insights into what was really like the tropical party of the year. And I guess I want to start by asking you, like, how did you originally get involved in the organisation of the event?
Me and Timmy over the last couple of years had been involved in a few vert events and a few other things that were going on. And as we're building these ramps and stuff, we started, and seeing a few of them, we started talking about what the ideal event would be. And Timmy obviously has that property up there, and with his house, it was, really just his brainchild of let's put on what we think the actual ideal event in our eyes would be to showcase skateboarding. So I think that's kind of how I started to get involved with it, was just talking a bit of shit with Timmy.
And in that process realised you had the same ideas of what an event could look like.
Yeah, definitely. We needed a bit of an antidote. There was a lot of there's nothing wrong with it, but there was a lot of the Olympic style judged straight down the line and narrow events, and it was nothing reminiscent of what we thought skateboarding was to us. So we had to do something for ourselves, I suppose.
Yeah, rad. I love the informal nature of a jam event. And I guess one example is, when we had the best trick on the extension, it got a little bit contentious about who got it. Like, how do you judge that? Skateboarding's so subjective. And so I was just like, you know what, let's put it to the crowd. I mean, that was the only way to decide. Right. So I'm like, okay, if you think, Josh got it for his, frontside invert, give us a cheer. If you think Nick Chris got it, give us a cheer. And like the crowd cheered for Nick Chris, and then that was it. And there was no complaints. There was no arguing. Whereas, like, there could have been, like some of those younger dudes, they really wanted the money. Eddie Akers did a kickflip. Eddie Akers did a kickflip fast plant. I mean, that was rad.
Yeah. They were all rad tricks, but if you wanted the money, you should have won over the crowd.
There you go.
So I think they're the final judge.
Totally. But if that was at a formal event, you could never get away with that. It would be like people would be up in arms,
Yeah, well, the people at formal events are good at crying, so there's no crying at Timmy's. It's against the rules.
Like, what do you think makes like this event unique compared to other skate jams, in your opinion? What was unique about it?
I think it's unique in the time and age we live in, but I think it's well and truly it's a well-travelled road. I think it is reminiscent of some of those 80s, 90s vert jams before the age of too much social media and the rest of it. I think it just brings it back to what it used to be and what we kind of grew up watching.
Yeah.
So it is unique, but it's only unique because it's a rarity in the modern day, I think.
Do you think skate culture's drifted away from its core?
Yeah, maybe a little from its roots, or just what we think it is. I think it has branched out into being more and more different things. But anyway, that's I think what makes it unique. It was Timmy's brainchild, and it was his idea, and it's what he wanted to see, and he wanted to see more old school raw skateboarding, which is kind of gone. I don't know. You don't get to see that much these days.
Yeah, it was fun. I got to give it to some of the younger crew coming through who do like to skate competitively, like, Taj Wolfenden, Eddie Akers, Harvey Campbell. They're chasing that other aspect of it, but the fact that they still made the effort to go up there and do that is really kind of inspiring to me as well, that they're trying to do a bit of both and they understand that.
Yeah, and they are, like those three and Harvey, like they're all raw as. Yeah. So like they can get around an event like that, and they kept wheels on the ramp the whole day. Freddie as well. Freddie and Sammy, you can't forget them. Like,
no way.
All those kids, if you had a bunch of slightly older, less fit adults at it, doesn't matter how many you've got, you're not going to keep wheels on the ramp the whole day.
So true, man. I swear to God, Eddie Akers did not stop. Like, and then when the limo jam was on, he skated in that as well.
Yeah. The limo was definitely a highlight, and and Eddie didn't stop, mate. He's fit as a fiddle. They all are.
Yeah. And that was my next question. Is like, what were some of your personal highlights of the day?
Getting to see the freestyle bikes that close up, it's probably more of a personal one. Mm-hmm. But having those freestyle boys, like we've only ever got to watch that from stadium seating and paid good money to go to events, and having guys of that caliber turn up and being right at the forefront. And I was there with all the kids, 20 meters away from some of the wildest shit we've ever seen. So that was a definite highlight for me.
Yeah.
The limo, you can't argue with that. Cool random Swamp Fest style features. And then I don't really know where you can really aim it down into one thing. It was just what's the thing from the castle? It was just the vibe of the thing.
It's just the vibe, yeah. It really was. I think in my opinion, it was a combination of the actual environment that you're in. Like everywhere you look, there's like, you look one way, there's a beautiful rainforest mountain. You look another way, there's like fields with goats. You look another way. Like it was just a beautiful environment to be in for starters. And then I guess for me, I felt the community was just so excited that something like this was on, because I got the sense that they don't see a lot of this kind of stuff, right? No,
they're very they're soul of the earth people up there, and they're like, I don't think events of that nature come up too often. I guess the same week we had the race week for sailing, but it doesn't really tickle everyone's fancy, and this was kind of the antidote to that. We've got something a bit more gnarly and more suited to the crowd.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
That's a beautiful spot. The weather put it on for us for the day. It was just a funnel of light through that valley there, right next to the beach. You can't pick a better location.
No way, dude. I love that. It was a funnel of light, hey? I didn't think of it.
Yeah, that bounces off all the rainforest. You've got this here in this valley. It's one of the most beautiful spots in the world.
It really is, hey. I'm definitely keen to go back next year, that's for sure. So is it something you'd want to be part of again?
Yeah. Talks are already well and truly underway as to how we're going to do it better next year. It's not an if, but when.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, what was your question? You said you just dropped out for a second. Your question was...
my question was, are you going to be a part of it next year?
Oh, hell yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I was having a phone call with Potty who organises Belco Bowl Jam, and it really caught his interest. I was talking to him yesterday. And he's just like, I didn't hear anything about it. And I said, well, the boys threw it together in like less than 2 months. Is that right?
Yeah, well, there'd been talks about it for a long, long time, and it was always going to happen. And we did throw one together last year, but it kind of it got a lot bigger in the last 2 months. Like we threw the bikes in, and then I just got on the blower to about everyone I knew and forced them to come, kind of forced their hands and gave them no option. But, and sorry, Timmy, I probably did a little bit of that to Timmy too, but he was keen. But, we just kind of, we really ramped it up in the last 2 months, and Clinton's godsend, he got on the actual marketing, because if it wasn't for him, it would have just been some massive event we threw together and no one turned up to it.
Yeah.
But, so it just ramped up in the last 2 months. When we started getting yeses out of people, and then the volume of skateboarders, I think we ended up with mid to high 20s in like top end pro skateboarders. So
yeah,
that was really, really good to see.
100%. And that's what I said. I sort of felt that, like, I guess next year the organising of it will start earlier and the promotion of it will start earlier. And I can't I can't imagine it won't be bigger because more people are going to want to come, and that's the feedback I'm immediately getting is that like I'm going next year. It looks epic.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. We had to do one to put it on the map.
100%.
So that's but yeah, and it's a great time. It's a great time of year for up there because it's such a lull. If you think about like August, you've just been through winter. There's no events on in Australia that time of year for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And you go up there and it's just pristine, and it really breaks up the calendar well, and it's perfect timing. That's where you want to be that time of year. It's I couldn't think of a better event to add to the calendar.
Yeah, man. It was so good getting out of the cold. But anyway, listen, I've got a bit to get through tonight. Maybe you can give me some shout-outs and thank yous. You got anyone you want to...
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to shout out Nat Hazelton and obviously the rest of the Hazeltons, but mostly Nat for putting up with it all. She's Mama Hazelton. She's number one, and everyone who helped with the event, the Richies. There's going to be too many to mention, so I won't start with that. Also, shout out the MC. He was pretty good on the day.
Thanks.
And yeah, Kevin and Bob and Trevor, I think, would be my three shouts. So the two goats and the dog that were a big part of the day too.
Is that the actual goats' names? I didn't even know it.
Yeah, Kevin's the girl, Bob, she's white, Bob's the brown boy, and then Trevor's the dog.
It's amazing. Dude, there was that moment when the dog chased the goat across the vert ramp.
Oh,
and I mean, like lucky no one was skating, but me and I looked at someone on the platform, it might have been Wade, and we looked at each other and went, only would this happen in Early Beach, you know?
Yeah. There's been a goat cameo every year, so it was Kevin last year, so Bob needed his limelight this year. He had to have his run.
So good, mate. They are totally the mascots of that event, mate. It's the best.
Yeah, they're unreal.
So, yeah, man. Well, thanks for inviting me. I had the time of my life up there, and I appreciate your time tonight, Lachie.
Yeah, no, thank you, and thanks for all the effort you put in. I think you were the most well prepared and organised out of the whole lot of us, so the event wouldn't have come together without you, mate. So I really, really appreciate it.
My absolute pleasure. All right, Mr. Lachie Abbott, everyone. If you haven't heard his episode, go back in the back catalogue. Lachie was guest episode. What episode were you on, Lachie? I can't remember. 260.
4 or 5 back, I think.
Yeah, I think it was like episode 261. Yeah, anyway, you'll find it. Lachie Abbott, and he shares about, his life and why he loves skateboarding and the other stuff he's into. It's a good one.
Yeah, unreal. Thanks, Shan. Good to speak to you, mate.
See you, legend. Bye.
I'll catch you, mate. Bye.
Man, it's good to talk to Lachie. I love Lachie. Such a classic, and he just charges so hard at pretty much everything he does. And now I've got Timmy Hazelton, organiser of the event, Weekend at Timmy's. Let's get him on the phone and, see what his reflections are on what was an epic weekend. Here we go.
Shan, how are you, mate?
Timmy, great to hear from you, buddy.
What's that? Sorry, buddy?
So it's good to talk to you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Sorry, mate.
It's all right.
Got you now.
It's all right. It's part of it.
Early Beach, mate. You know, it's like there's not much service up here, brother.
I noticed that. In fact, I barely had service all weekend, and it was kind of like a really nice break, actually.
Yeah, it was a good break. They'd shut down the Telstra tower near our place, right near it, so that wasn't good for the vendors trying to sell things.
Oh, because people couldn't use their cards, right? Or tap their cards.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, shame, but it happens.
So annoying. Is that just a rare thing, or do they always shut down the tower?
It was pretty rare, this one, actually. They just shut it down for because Telstra wasn't going too well in this area. So they'd shut it down from the 16th on the day for an extra 9 days.
That's it. Wow. So, hey, listen, how do you feel after what was a big weekend? Have you had some time to rest and recover?
Mate, had some time to rest a little bit. We only just had a few lodges that stayed in camp for a while afterwards, just leave pretty much yesterday. So that was cool. We still there was a fair bit of party still going on afterwards, but it was cool.
Nice. Well, they just wouldn't leave. They had such a good time.
Oh, mate, last year Lachie Abbott didn't leave for 3 months.
That's hilarious.
Which
No
is
way.
awesome.
And why would you want to leave? Like, I just spoke to Lachie on the phone, actually, and we were talking about how beautiful the setting is, you know?
Yeah.
I think that really made the event feel extra special with the beautiful, like, mountain in the background and, you know, the goats running around.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Like when I actually built this ramp, as I put the footings in, I looked around in the middle of summer and watched the sun go down to see where you could get the best pictures from and stuff like that, photography. And I stuffed up because no one in summer wants to skate this ramp because it's way too hot. And then when winter came, the sun came right in the spot where you need to take those shots over the hills.
Still beautiful though. Still looks good.
Yeah, no, it was cool.
So I want to ask you, Timmy, so what originally compelled you to put on an event like this? What's the backstory?
Well, mate,
What's the backstory?
The backstory, really, mate, I suppose, really would be just to showcase skateboarding, mate. Really, up here in a small town, and then also sort of put on that event where skaters can just skate free, not feel like it's a competition, and have a good time with their mates, and really have a good jam and go hard between each other, and have that sort of best friends sort of skating together, sort of camaraderie sort of thing,
Yeah, like informal.
Yeah, definitely informal, mate, and sort of old school, where everyone can just feel like they can do what they want, really.
Yeah, I totally felt that vibe, eh?
Yeah, it's good that you did, mate. I hope that you did, because that's what we were going for.
Yeah, I mean, do you feel like there's a lack of that these days?
These days we see a fair bit of that, mate, I suppose, and then, you've got the people that everyone's there a few weeks earlier practicing, and everybody's sort of hiding their tricks from each other and all that sort of stuff. And I don't know. I know my boys, Freddie and Sammy, they just love just to get in there and go for it. So that's sort of one of the things that we love about skateboarding. So we want to sort of bring that to up here. So people, they up here haven't really seen the sort of skateboarding that they saw over the weekend. So to be able to see that and show how the love for it that everybody actually has is something I think that gets someone back on a board.
Oh, epic, dude. You kind of answered my next question, because one of my questions was why is it important to the community of North Queensland and Nellie Beach, an event like that? And you said it's because they don't often get that sort of...
Yeah, they don't, mate. They would never have seen any sort of skating like this before, mate, hey, which was cool. And when you don't see that before, and you see especially the caliber of skaters that came, it's so rad that they all got up here. They put on a good show, and the sort of the people that come up to you a little bit later and just can't believe what they've seen, people sort of stop you while you're walking around saying, is that guy going to put on a helmet? They're really shitting themselves for the actual skaters,
Mate, you've given them lifelong experiences that they'll never forget. You know that, don't you?
I hope so, mate. That would be cool, especially for the young ones that got to come and watch, because there's not too much up here, mate. It's a good place. Everyone's, it's probably old school Australia 20 years ago up here, and everybody sort of, learns to live life and do things themselves and make up their own fun. And they don't really get to see things like this. So yeah, I think, you know, what I've been told is they're all pretty happy with it anyway, which is cool.
Hell yeah. Just to put it in context for those that are unaware of where Airlie Beach is geographically, because I do have people that listen around the world, like how far is the closest major city and which one is it?
The closest major city would probably be Townsville, which is 4 hours above us.
Yep.
Mackay's 2 hours below. Okay. And then if you've got like the major cities, so like if you're thinking about like something like Brisbane,
yeah,
Brisbane's like 12 to 14 hours drive down.
It's crazy.
So,
and Mackay's not exactly big, let's face it.
No, Mackay's not big, and Townsville's not big either, really. So yeah, really, Brisbane's like the closest, really, which is like 12 to 14 hours, depending on how heavy your foot is, I suppose.
Yeah, man. So cool. And like you said, I felt that old school, I guess I just felt old school community vibes where like everyone was friendly. People love to have a chat and they'll stop and give you the time. Like, I'm sorry, but coming from cities, I don't feel that anymore. Like people are in a rush. And when I first got there, Aha goes, just remember, Shan, we're on island time. I mean, what do you mean? He goes, everything's just moving a bit slower. I was like, okay. And he was right. And it was rad, Yeah,
you definitely feel that, mate. And coming from a city, then it's hard to slow down as well. So like, then you realise that everything will get done at some stage, but you just got to chill out a little bit, and everyone just waits until it gets done, and like you walk down the street, everyone still says hello to you.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. Which is a good thing for having my boys up here, to realise, the real old school Australians that still sort of help each other out and do things for each other, and you run by your you run by what sort of person you are, because everyone knows you.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's a small town. What originally got you up there? Like, what made you want to move the family up there?
Oh, well, we left Sydney and travelled around Australia for 3 years, and I'd sold a business down there, like the sort of whole thing of waking up in the morning and, kissing your kid goodbye, then at night kissing your kid goodnight and missing out on all that time together. So we just wanted to sort of slow down and catch up that time with the boys, and then we were originally going to go to the sunny coast, and then we got there and that was a little bit too busy. We chilled out a bit, and then we got up here and, we just sort of fell in love with the place, mate.
Oh, I can see why. And do you feel like you got that time back with your boys?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I got those sort of times together where, got to see them grow up, and I don't know if I'm the best bloke that they could have hung around for that long. I don't know if that was the best way to do it, but it's sort of, I think it's worked out anyway. But
well, mate, they're top young blokes you've got there, and they rip. Both of them ripped the whole weekend.
Yeah, they were going pretty hard, which is cool.
Yeah, how's Sammy kickflipping the limo?
Yeah, I know. He pulled that out of his ass, the little bastard. It was awesome.
But then he was skating vert all morning, and then just like next thing he's over at the limo for the limo jam, kickflipping it. I was like, get out.
Yeah, it was cool, man. Really good to see, eh?
Yeah, mate. That was such a pleasure to watch. So listen, I want to ask you quickly, personal highlights of the day, some standout moments for you.
Personal highlights was probably, I think, just the whole day of everybody having a good time, really, mate, and seeing 100% that all the skaters were just all skating really hard together and all getting amongst it together. And then the fans as well were all excited. It was a good day of, everyone just was really cool, and I couldn't really say anything bad about it, really. I think the whole thing of, I couldn't just I thought about this afterwards and thought, if I was to think of the best skater or something, and then I was thinking, you know, like I can't put one down because everybody just, you know, went hard and had a good time. So I think that everyone seems to have chilled and got into that jam format and had, you know, like really done, like went as hard as they could for themselves.
Yeah. And that was the thing that made you the happiest, hey?
Yeah, I'd say so, mate, yeah.
So good. Yeah, man. And I guess also, like, you recruited a lot of the local businesses who all pitched in. I know, like, the local, the septic company.
Oh, mate,
I'll go.
The septic companies.
They brought the toilets. They brought portaloos, you know, and then so just maybe if you can remember, I don't want to put you on the spot because I know this question's hard because you don't want to forget anyone, but any shout outs and thank yous you want to mention?
Mate, there's, you know, like the, you know, like with Sunday's Pro Social, like they look after all the disability kids and stuff like that in town, which they jumped on straight away. You know, like, you know, obviously the septic guys. And then we also had like Grind Shrine, which was down in Mackay, which they killed it. And, you know, they did things like with Clintos to try and throw in like Weekend at Timmy's shirts and stuff like that to try and help us out. And, you know, things like that, mate, which was really cool. KC's, which is a bar down the road, and the you know, Red Cat and Rock Plumbing, and yeah, mate, it's pretty endless up here, eh? It's hard to sort of, like, everybody's that community, they get involved and they really want to see things happen.
Yeah. Hi, Timmy. Lost ya.
The biggest thing too, man, is people like Clintos that because Davison, like he did all the socials and stuff for us, so took away a lot of stuff off my back. And you know, it's called Weekend at Timmy's, man, but it's not Timmy. There's so many more people behind it, you know, like Big Richie Norton rocking up and doing some excavation, building some ramps. He built like the extension and the rail over the limo, and you know, like then like in the background from Sydney, like Lachie's pushing everyone from down south to come up here as well. And then you got like, you know, like I told one guy, Phil, he was like, I told him about the limo idea, and 2 days later he rocks up with a limo.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's it. Eh? Like he was like
found an old limo.
Yeah, well, it was on the side of the road, up the road, and I just saw it, and I was like, I'd be sick to put a rail across that, eh? And he's like, yeah, and then he's like, oh, my company, these Island Transfers, he just like rocked up a couple of days later and goes, here you go, Timmy, and then we stood there for a couple of days working out what the fuck we're going to do over it. Yeah, man.
That was so good. Yeah, man. So it was a lot of effort by a lot of people all pitching in, but what a great thing to collaborate with your friends on, you know. And it, again, memories for life.
Yeah, that's it, mate. And like, you know, there's loads more other people like all the skaters from up here in North Queensland. Like everyone pitched in, man. Like everyone had a crack at doing everything. Like Richie ran around with his shirt off the whole time and got everyone excited.
Full hype man. It was so good.
The hype man was about, mate. You know, like it just, it was, to be honest, it was something that we'd had like a small sort of like plan. But then, you know, you have to have a plan, but then it just ran together and all sort of ended up working. So it was good.
Well, congratulations on a good event.
Stoked with your work too, brother.
My pleasure.
That was awesome, mate. You killed it on the mic, eh? It was so good.
Thank you, man. Thoroughly enjoyed it. And listen, congrats on an amazing event. And are we going to see a weekend at Timmy's 3? That's the big question.
We definitely are, mate. Bigger and better, brother.
Yes. I was so glad you said that.
Plus, you know, like all the other like skate companies that came up from down, you know, Newey and Sydney and everywhere, like next door and Dogtown and stuff like that too. And, you know, like the things are as well, like people that like took a chance on it as well, like Santa Cruz and Fireball.
Yeah.
You know, like listening to my bullshit and then actually having a crack at it.
Yeah.
Nice to
so much.
that they actually had a go with us, man. I said to Wade, I was like, thanks very much for having a go, because you could have just thought that bloke's talking shit.
Mate, when someone's got a dream, like it's, like the Field of Dreams movie, if you build it, they will come, Like, you got to dare to dream. And that's how I kind of seen it. And that's like Lachie said to me, like, thanks for coming and stuff. And I was like, I really felt something special about it. And in hindsight, like I now know that feeling was right. So,
mate.
And I think everyone I've spoke to had that same feeling. So, mate, it's special times, and look forward to even bigger and better next year.
Yeah, hopefully, mate. We'll see. Hopefully we get it all sorted out from now instead of a month before this time.
Yeah. I was going to say, maybe start the organisation a bit earlier.
Yeah, she all worked out, mate. The ramp copped the hiding though, didn't it?
Oh, mate, it was kind of like the ramp saying the ramp chose when the day was over. It was like those two holes happened. It was like it lasted all day, and then it was like right at the end of the big air comp, and it was like, nah, it's over. The ramp's like done. It's done. So, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, just had to stick the fireball keg over a hole and keep going.
Yeah, I noticed that. Mate, there was so much fireball whiskey going around. It was a bit of a worry. But anyway, I got a bit to get through, Timmy. So listen, everybody, Timmy Hazelton. Give him a high five if you ever see him. Thanks, Timmy.
Thanks for the call, mate. You're a legend. Thanks again for all your help, brother.
Pleasure. See you, mate. Bye.
Yeah, mate. Bye.
All right, so now I'm going to get into, I guess, the you good aspect of this week's episode, resentment and forgiveness. I've pulled information from various books and articles, got some quotes and things that have kept me inspired in constantly practicing forgiveness, because I've said it a lot on the podcast. Forgiveness and resentment have just been my two, I guess, biggest challenges in this life. I've wrestled with them my whole life, and the older I get, the clearer it becomes that resentment is poison, man. Like, that shit is sneaky. It lingers, and then over time it seeps into everything. For me, it's like ruined my sleep. It's caused rumination, which is like constantly thinking about stuff that you're resentful about and what you're going to say to the person or whatever harmed you, and then what you're going to do about it, and making yourself literally mentally ill with it. I've seen how holding on to it has like twisted parts of my life. It's because I'm holding on to it, it's then polluting relationships. And it's silently shaped my choices and how it creates this like ripple effect that's like never positive. Like it never works out good. And, if I act on the resentful thoughts and feelings I have, and maybe sometimes I act on them and am able to, put it over someone that hurt me, it actually doesn't feel good. It never feels good. If you effectively like maybe win, which is what you always feel like you want to do when you're resentful, you want to win, or you want justice, so you want to get the person back, or you want to, resolve the situation on your terms. But lately I've had to face a hard truth. Like, if I want to live a good life, and I really do, and a life that feels full, light, and free. That's what I want to feel. I want to feel freedom, in not just like actual freedom, like freedom in my mind, freedom in my heart, and freedom in my soul. Resentment takes those things away. So resentment just can't be here in my life if I want to live the best life and be the best for the ones I love. So I can't carry it and expect to grow. Forgiveness, as hard and as uncomfortable as it can be, is the only real way forward. And deep down, like, isn't that like what we're all chasing, a life that feels worth living? And forgiveness is the pathway. It's the gateway to it. And forgiving yourself is a big part of that as well. So After my recent conversation with skateboarder and former Koala Distribution founder Andy McKenzie, which, by the way, had vast amounts of feedback and so much love because he kind of went underground for a while there after, I guess, the end of Koala. Like, I just felt this spark. His perspective on life was one of, like, looking for simplicity and love and kindness. And he had to do some major forgiving because he was betrayed. He was literally betrayed quite hideously. And his perspective and his gentleness, his kindness and his distinct lack of bitterness, even though he could be bitter, hit me in a way that made me want to, like, just dig deeper. So I've been reading, reflecting and trying to really understand this thing, like resentment, forgiveness and how they play out in everyday life. And I just want to share it. And that's why I got this podcast. And like I said, I love talking to skateboarders and talking about skateboarding, but it just can't be all about that. I kind of feel like I want to share what, I'm learning and just spread it, pay it forward and all that stuff. So let's get going. So I'm going to start by sharing like a story of what can only be described as radical forgiveness. So I recently watched a mini documentary about, and it was on one of those mainstream channels, I don't want to say, and it was about a reckless drunk driver who was speeding. He lost control of his car and ploughed into a group of 7 children who were walking to their local shop for an ice cream. Now, 4 of the 7 children were killed and they were all siblings. And this actually happened in Australia not that long ago. It was back in 2020 and it was in a suburban area. Kids just walking to the shop to get an ice cream. So it wasn't near a freeway or anything like that. So 5 years later, the father of those 4 children that were killed requested to meet the offender in prison so he could go there and forgive him face to face. So I'm watching this mini documentary going, this is gnarly. Like, I couldn't do that. Like, the grief that the man must feel would be just unbelievable, and let alone to go and face the person that killed your 4 children. It was like, I was so engrossed in this mini documentary. And not only did the father go there and forgive him, and just watching it, like I was like tense, like I was sweating, like, he hugged the guy and like it was just a profound moment. Like I haven't been like that shaken up by a TV show in a long time, a documentary like that. So he forgave the guy. And not only that, this father now supports this man who's in prison and supports this man's parents while he serves out his 20-year sentence because, the offender's parents are victims of the situation too. They've lost their son who's in jail for 20 years and they don't have that relationship with him anymore. So this guy, and I'm going to put a link to the mini documentary in this show notes, and I really hope everyone watches it. Like, it was mind-blowing, and I just couldn't believe what I was watching. And his reasoning was simple. He said, if I didn't forgive, the weight of the grief and the toxicity of the resentment would have taken his life too. Maybe not physically, maybe he would have taken his own life, maybe he would have resorted to substance abuse, or maybe just because the resentment and the anger and the feeling of injustice was so profound, he would never be able to be present and find any joy in life and be present for his wife and his other children that he had and his friends and his family. So he said, I had to do it just to save my life. And forgiveness, he said, allowed him to release the offence in his mind so he could recalibrate his life and move forward. It was the most beautiful thing I'd ever heard. So hearing that, like, I tried to process the concept, and to be honest, it shook me and it made me look at my own life differently. Like, if that level of forgiveness is possible, then surely, like, I can find the strength to forgive any injustice or betrayal or harm that I've experienced. And no one is immune to any of those things. We're all going to have this in this life in some capacity. So over the years, I've noticed how much mental energy resentment has stolen from me. Like I said at the start, like ruminating over old wounds. Like it's not uncommon for me to ruminate over something that happened to me when I was 5 years old or something as a teenager. We're talking years and years ago, and it's affecting me in the now. Isn't that sad? Like it's like a baggage that's like a chain that's like I'm dragging around and holding me back. So it sort of pulls me out of the present. It drains my joy and distances me from the people I love the most. And that's why I've been feeling really compelled to talk about this. So it could be broken friendships that you've experienced, family drama, betrayals, or even just not being able to forgive ourselves for mistakes. Like forgiveness, I think, is one of the hardest things we can do. And it's not a one-off too. Like we've got to always do it. It's like an ongoing practice. For me, it's a daily practice. I've made a choice to make it a daily practice. And what I'm noticing is that when I make it a daily practice, life just starts to feel better. It feels more joyful, and I just feel happier. Like my default feeling is happiness, or contentment, fulfillment. I don't know how to describe it. And I think other people just feel that. So that's what I've noticed, So today, that was a story I wanted to share, and I just wanted to, in this episode, like I said, I'm going to unpack forgiveness through stories, philosophies, some articles I've read, and books that have influenced me. My hope is that, like by the end of this, we'll all have a little bit more clarity on how to actually practice it in our own lives. All right, I've got a definition on what forgiveness really is, kind of a definition anyway, and what it isn't as well. So I found some information that says this. Okay, and this is from the website Psychology Today. It says, forgiveness is often mistaken for excusing bad behaviour or pretending nothing happened, but it's not about letting someone off the hook. It's about freeing ourselves from the weight of resentment. And there's a rad book by Desmond Tutu. Okay, he was an African leader, and he said in his book, The Book of Forgiving, he said, without forgiveness, we remain tethered to the person who harmed us. We are bound with chains of bitterness, tied together, trapped. So again, we're tethered to the person that harmed us. So if it's someone that's harmed us, like, do we really still want to be connected to them? And what's connecting us to that person is the resentment. Forgiveness cuts the ties, which is heavy, right? When we don't forgive, it's like carrying like a backpack full of bricks. It's like it's weighing us down. It's not making us light. It sort of ruins our flow. And this doesn't just apply to forgiving others. It applies to forgiving ourselves. So I guess if you're tethered to the negative side of yourself, you need to forgive yourself so you can cut that tie to the negative aspect of yourself, the dark side of yourself. Think about every time like for me, I beat myself up really hard. So if I do things like maybe if I quit something early and don't follow through with it, maybe if I made a mistake, actually definitely when I make mistakes, I'll say sorry 1,000 times, or I'll just say an internal narrative that's like, you're an idiot, you're hopeless, you're not good at anything, what are you doing? And sometimes I beat myself up if maybe I blew an opportunity. I could give you specific examples. Again, I'll relate something to skating. It's like if I go to get a trick, try it, and then just give up on trying it. And then if I don't make it that day, I don't go back. It just sits with me and definitely beats me down. So I need to forgive myself, but I do need to get that trick. I won't lie. So those resentments, they sort of pile up over the years and probably manifests the worst when you get older, because when you're younger, like you pile it up and it's like everything. You can't carry it around forever, so you got to let it go. So forgiving ourselves is sometimes the hardest but the most essential. And there was a philosopher I found, Ryan Holiday, in the Daily Stoic, wrote, anger, for all its fury, is far weaker than forgiveness. Anger is weaker than forgiveness. So if you're walking around angry with a grudge, chip on your shoulder, like, forgiveness, if you can forgive, that's way more gangster. That's way tougher to actually take on and face up to that and be real. So, in my research and over the years, I've been told about a book called Radical Forgiveness by Colin Tipping. And someone told me about it years ago and I never read it and never picked it up. But over the last few weeks, I've been looking at extracts on the internet of it. And it's a rad book, like Radical Forgiveness, because forgiveness is radical. Forgiveness is tough, it's epic, it's rad. It's a good thing. So Colin Tipping in his book takes a different approach to forgiveness than traditional psychology or religion. Instead of seeing forgiveness as condoning or excusing harm, he frames it as a shift in perception, which I think is really cool. It is a shift in perception. And his core idea is that on a soul level, every event, even painful ones, happen for a reason, often to help us grow or awaken. And I guess if you want to link it to your personal religion, and I think most religions actually hold this as one of the philosophies, that they would say that there's no coincidence and it's all part of God's plan, because God can see things that you don't see, and sometimes even when they're a really bad situation or incident, it had to happen because it was going to open up or lead to something else that needed to happen as well. So I don't know. I like it. When we forgive radically, he says, we stop seeing ourselves as victims and instead recognize the hidden purpose behind the hurt. It's less about pardoning someone else and more about liberating yourself from resentment. So there it goes. It's like liberating, freeing, which links to the father's story I mentioned earlier, who lost his 4 children. He needed to liberate himself. Otherwise, there's no use for living, really, especially in that situation. So the author gives readers practical tools like worksheets and guided processes, as I noticed, to transform anger, guilt, and victimhood into peace and acceptance. So it's awesome. I'll put a link in the show notes, Radical Forgiveness by Colin Tipping. And there's an example of how you can do the work. If you're struggling with forgiveness, this is a resource you can go to and just put it into practice. But unless you take action, change isn't going to happen. Action brings about change. This is actionable. Go and do these worksheets. Go and read the book. Might change your life. So there's a few key quotes and ideas from the book. I've got them in dot point form here. I'm going to read them out. So, radical forgiveness is not about learning to forgive someone for doing something wrong. It is about seeing perfection in the situation and realizing that nothing wrong ever happened. It, again, all part of the plan, God's plan, whatever you believe in, the universe, that gets thrown around a lot. It's the universe. It's all part of the universe. And I think I was talking to my friend Ty today about that notion of control. I think a lot of resentment and anger comes from this feeling of lack of control over a person, a circumstance, or a situation. But really we have no control. And I think that's what it also ties into, is just like we have to go with the flow, and what will be will be. And accepting that is so hard. And forgiveness is a big part of that. Next dot point I got here is, behind every circumstance, no matter how painful, is a spiritual purpose waiting to be revealed. And what I've learned in my life, sometimes the worst things that have happened to me always lead to something, well, nearly always have led to something better. And then I reflect on them in hindsight and go, oh, I'm so glad that happened. Like for you, it might have been like, a breakup is a good example. You think that it's the end of the world and you're never going to survive in that moment, in that time, in that period. But then later on it goes on to reveal a life that's much happier, and someone maybe you meet is way more compatible with you, and you would have never found that connection with them if that person didn't break up with you in the first place. So I've only seen positives come out of the worst situations. And also I think if you choose to learn from the situation as well, it helps in terms of making that negative into a positive. So now it also says forgiveness is not about letting someone off the hook. It's about letting yourself off the hook. Again, we've already sort of covered that philosophy. You don't have to understand forgiveness, believe it, or even like it. All you have to do is be willing to do it. And then the magic happens. Okay, so be willing to forgive, practice forgiveness. Even for me sometimes, if it's just like just having to say it, like a mantra over and over, like I forgive that person, I forgive that person, I forgive that person. It definitely like rewires or something. I don't know. I have to do it every day. Sometimes I say it in my head and, but I don't really feel like I've forgiven them. I still hate them and I want to kill them. But it's like, it's a reprogramming and it's a practice and it's strengthening the forgiveness muscle, I guess, in my opinion. And another dot point from the book is when we shift our perception, the energy of the past releases us. We're no longer victims. We release it. We're no longer victims and we're not tethered to the incident. We're not tethered to the harm. We're not connected to it anymore. So all this is easier said than done, but I think practice is the key. It's progress, not perfection. All right, so let's talk about how we can practice forgiveness. Here's a few tools, and then we'll start to wrap this episode up. I don't want to go into too much depth. Just want to give you, I guess, little pieces of information, knowledge, gems of wisdom, hopefully, that you'll go and use. I'm not preaching. I hope I'm not preaching. I don't want to preach, and I'm not an expert on any of this shit. I'm just having this lived experience, trying to navigate it, trying to share it. Whatever. I hope you like it. I hope it doesn't sound too kooky, but whatever. I'm a kook. I was born a kook and I'll die a kook. But I don't want to die a bitter kook. That's my big thing. I mean, you meet bitter people. They suck. Like, you don't want to be around bitter people. And I want to be around people. I want to live with my arms wide open and just have fun, enjoy. And I feel like this is the way I can do it. This is another way I can do it. So anyway, whatever. Here we go. So practice. How are we going to practice this shit? So just learning, forgiveness takes repetition. Like I said before, repetition is key. Forgiveness takes repetition. Here are a few things I've learned and things that I do, and this is from talking to friends, looking up some stuff, Googling some stuff, reading about some stuff, and there's 4 things. So 4 key things that have come up in all the stuff. So number 1, you've got to acknowledge the hurt. Don't downplay it. Admit to yourself, that sucked. That sucked. I got hurt. I was harmed. I was offended. There was an injustice. I was betrayed. Just acknowledge it, okay? Don't downplay it. Number 2, decide to forgive. Like, make that decision. Like, that sucked. That person sucked. That thing sucked. That situation sucks. But I'm going to forgive. And like, it can be as simple as that. Like, I am going to forgive that person. It's a conscious choice. It's not a feeling, because your feeling will be different. Initially, that's what I've noticed. It's like I say I'm going to forgive the person, but my feeling is that I still hate them. And a really good quote I heard once was like, feelings aren't facts. Okay? It's like sometimes you can feel angry or upset or offended, but maybe the reality is not a fact. I think it can come down to perception sometimes, because you could be offended, but really the fact of it is maybe sometimes what the person did wasn't actually offensive. You've just perceived it that way. But either way, make a decision to forgive regardless of what your feelings are. Number 3, reframe the story. Remember, instead of being a victim, see how you can grow from the situation. So how can I grow from this? It could be like, all right, I'm not going to give my money to these types of people or these types of organizations anymore. I am going to date differently. I'm going to maybe put some boundaries in place when I date, for example. Maybe I'm going to remove this substance from my life. Maybe I need to quit that job because that boss sucks and they're treating me really bad. So I really think don't be a victim. Just look at the situation, analyze it, take accountability and ownership for your part in it, and change what you can change, okay? Because we can't control people, places or things. And I learnt that in AA. And by the way, nothing I ever say is original. I've learned it, picked it up from somewhere else or someone else, tried to apply it to my life, and I'm like, yeah, that works. But again, I'm just fumbling through this life as it is as well. I'm fumbling through this podcast, but whatever. I just want to get it out there. Number 4, release and repeat. So sometimes forgiveness needs to be renewed daily. Like it's a daily practice, could be every morning. And then I find it doesn't last. Like you do it every morning for a week or a few days. And then next thing you know, like you can feel the resentment it just fades away. Like you don't have to actually consciously make the resentment go away. It just goes away through that repetition and practice. And, maybe like saying a mantra, and like I said, my mantra can sometimes just be, I forgive that person, I forgive that person, I forgive that person, and almost like convince myself that I forgive them, and then it just happens. Or there's other cool mantras that are way better than mine, like, I forgive so that I can have peace. I forgive so that I can have peace. I forgive so that I can have peace. If you have a spiritual connection, religious belief, pray to the God of your own understanding and ask for that peace and forgiveness to come over you, and give it to the universe, give it to God, give it to whoever you believe in. And that way you don't have to carry it anymore. And I know that's powerful for a lot of people who have deep faith, and it's probably one of the most life-saving things for a lot of people. And that's what I've been finding. It's like I'm starting to understand how dangerous resentment and lack of forgiveness can be. If you're harboring angry thoughts constantly, it could potentially manifest in a really dark and negative way, whether it becomes self-harm or the harming of others. Like, I think a real common one is like when someone is angry at someone and they ruminate, I'm going to get that person, I'm going to get them, I want revenge, maybe I'm going to bash them, maybe I'm going to hit them. And then it does manifest in the ugliest way, and in the worst case scenario, they might accidentally kill someone. Like that's a really bad case scenario, but it happens all the time. Like there's prisons full of people who are like, man, I really wish I didn't do that. And I know a common one to put resentment to sleep is alcohol and drugs. It will suppress it for a while, but it's still there. And then the worst thing about it is then the self-control is too hard, and then it manifests in the worst possible way. Maybe like the guy that was drink driving and killed 4 children. As gnarly as that is to say, it happened. And that guy was abusing alcohol. And who knows what he was suppressing. Maybe he was suppressing anger, resentment towards himself, self-loathing, who knows. But look how it manifested. And he's spending 20 years in jail and literally ruined the lives of families, numerous people, even the people that will probably have to be first on the scene of that situation or lived in the neighborhood. It's just, you can't imagine it. So short but simple, meditate, pray about it if you have to, and create mantras for rewiring and developing the forgiveness muscle, I reckon. All right, anyway, that's me for another episode of You Good, solo episodes. Yeah, it's kind of hard being on the spot by yourself. Like, it's so much better when you've got someone to bounce off, because you got nowhere to hide when you're by yourself. But I don't care. Like, I'm okay with making myself vulnerable for this stuff. Maybe it's my form of therapy doing this. I've heard heaps of podcasters sort of say that. I was listening to an episode of Theo Von the other day, who's probably one of my favourite podcasters at the moment, because the guy's so damn funny. And he says it all the time. He's like, this is like my therapy, Kelly Slater said it once. It's like podcasts are for middle-aged men who don't want to go to a psychologist or something like that. That one cut me deep. Screw you, Kelly Slater. But whatever. Anyway, Terrible Happy Talks is evolving. Got some big things in the works. There's a brand shift. There's a direction shift. The podcast will remain. I don't want to say too much at the moment, but stay tuned. We have many amazing interviews coming up and much, much more. Like I said, going a slightly different direction. So if you're into skateboarding and the culture, if you're not into skateboarding and the culture, there's still something and more for you to enjoy. So thanks for listening, and get out there and start forgiving.